Welcome to Dynasty Playbook. We're rarely polite, so fuck you. I'm your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me is my co-host, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBOMIDP. And with us is our special guest this week, Andy Miley, and he's going to be at Andy Miley.
Andrew.
Andrew. Sorry, I was trying to pull it up as I was talking.
That's preparation, folks. That's what we do.
At Andrew Miley. So how y'all guys doing tonight?
Good. And the only reason I'm Andrew Miley is because when I got on Twitter, Andy Miley was taken, and then it opened up, and I didn't grab it quick enough.
It's alright. I had the same problem. Drew Dynasty, that's taken. I tried all sorts of combinations without having to go the full Drew Dotson NFL and every single one of them, and none of them's been active in like 4 or 5 years. They're all just squatting on it like a bunch of peckerheads.
I got the H-bomb market cornered, so I didn't have to struggle too much with that.
It's because no one else wants it.
Why would they? It makes 0 sense.
I mean, it makes 0 sense for anybody, but okay.
Exactly. Yeah, we got Andy on. Long overdue, man. Long overdue.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So why kind of go into a little bit on what you do with DFF.
I write whatever the heck they want me to. I'm basically one of their IDP guys. I kind of try to stay with rookies, second and third year guys, but I also commission a lot of leagues and just kind of give my ideas and whatnot. I'm also a high school coach. Up in Maine, I do mostly offensive line and defensive line, but that's kind of my strength. I wouldn't say it's my strength in fantasy with offensive line because when the heck do you use them? But I've actually been a football fan for, I'm going to say, 42 years. I'm an old man, 46, which have been called an old man at DFF before, and that's all fine and good. But kind of my craziness into football, I was very fortunate. My father and my grandfather, well, my father went to Michigan and my grandfather went to Ohio State. And from age 7 to 14, I got dragged to every Ohio State-Michigan game. So I became the biggest freaking football fan. I've never stopped. I've played. I've refereed, wrote about it. Now I'm coaching. Tattoo the Steelers helmet on my arm. There is nothing about football that I don't love. So that's my sickness. That's why I'm here, gentlemen.
Hell yeah. I'm all about that, and there is not much better way to fuel some fanaticism like a rivalry like that.
No kidding, man. Get to go to that game? I mean, that's like...
For
I mean,
years on end.
there are rivalries out there, and you think Army-Navy, and you think Auburn-Alabama, but when I really think rivalry, even being in the South with the Texas-OU rivalry, I automatically think Michigan-Ohio State. That's the one that comes to mind, so be able to see that live and in person many times, that's awesome.
Yeah, the only one in my mind that even comes close is Iron Bowl, and that's, I mean, I'm at ground zero for that, so I guess that one has just a little bit more of an impact. But the first thought I had when you said that was, how much of a little asshole was your dad? Like, oh, you went to Michigan? I'm going to Ohio State.
Well, they actually, my father and my grandfather got divorced. My grandfather got divorced from my grandmother at like age 2 for my father. So he didn't know my father basically at that time until he was 18, and he'd already been accepted to Michigan. So that's kind of just what happened.
Oh,
Natural rivalry.
That's a hell of a
There
way
you go.
to get to bond early on.
Yep.
But I guess with that, we'll kick right into the actual content for the week. And I don't think we've got any weekend review stuff. Nothing fancy's happened besides Johnny Manziel's still an addict, but it's not really worth talking about. So let's roll right into some Royce Freeman. Oregon, 5'11", 230. He's gonna be a true he's a true junior. He's gonna be 21 at the start of the draft. He is just not exciting to watch at all. He's not there. He does some things well. He's excellent in the pass game. Once if he's got a hole, if he can find out where it is, he picks up a good chunk of yards. But the problem is, that's like a 10% chance that he actually finds that hole. I was telling the guys before we started, 17-year-old me could find the hole better than this guy can. It's rough going. And I don't think I saw him break a tackle at all. So pretty much, if you're buying Freeman, this is going to be kind of a short eval on my part because I don't have a whole lot to talk about. Is you're buying him as a PPR option. You're buying him as a Benny Cunningham. But that's to me, that's pretty much what his ceiling looks like to me.
Andy, fire away, man.
Okay. I didn't like him very much either. I guess what was surprising was seeing how big he was, being the 5'11", 230. I thought he ran like he was 200 pounds. He was very dainty. He reminded me a lot, I told these guys already, of Rashard Mendak, that he spins away from trouble, and he actually gave up his back a lot to the defense too, and was trying to kind of hack squat them out of the way. And I hate that with a passion. Why give up your back? Nice little kidney shots, just dumb playing. And he didn't pass block very well either. And to quote Matt Waldman, he went to the corner store way too often for me. And if he can become a better pass catcher, yeah, maybe his upside is something, as a third back that you'd have on your dynasty team, maybe. But I'm not excited about him very much. And you, Tyler?
I wanted to be more excited about him. I remember when he came on the scene as a true freshman. You watch the live tape, he almost kind of jumped out at you. But the thing that Andy says, he runs like he's 200 pounds. This guy's 230 pounds. He should be bringing the load, but he doesn't. We talked about him really briefly in our little Voxer group earlier, and I forget what somebody called him, a plotter or whatever they call him. I called him a hesitator. And that's what he does to me is he just stops dead. Whether he's searching for the hole or whether he's timid or whatever it is, he just stops dead in his tracks. And if he just get his ass in the hole and get a little bit more of a head of steam, I think he can be something. I do. The numbers are outrageous. This guy's wildly productive. So he's not a complete hack, but he's got a lot of work to do. He really, really needs to show next year. He's probably coming back to school if he doesn't show next year. But the PPR chops are there. He's a good receiver out of the backfield. I'm not ready to completely write him off, but I really, really wish he'd run with a little more authority and a little more power and just get your 3 or 4 yards, man. Quit dancing looking for the home run because it's not going to be there all the time or even very often, especially at the next level. So, it's totally not writing him off, but this is a really, really good RB class next year, and he's going to have a very tough time cracking the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said he's a hesitator because the whole time I watched him, the only word that could come to mind was indecisive. And it's I don't think he's looking at it like not being able to get to the hole. I think he knows that if he gets to that hole and it's tight, he knows he's not breaking a tackle, so he's not going to get that 3 or 4 yards even if he finds the hole. So that's why he tries to spin it outside. That's why he's trying to just beat him on speed. And I feel like Bishop Sankey, coming out of college, was a good example of a guy who that was pretty much his bread and butter and kind of failed to live up to what his stats promised. But as long as y'all don't have anything else to touch on, we'll move on to a guy I'm a personal fan of, and that's Kendall Beckwith at LSU. He's a linebacker. He's 6'2", 250. True senior is going to be 22 come draft time. And I feel like we're going to have a little bit more to say just because this is IDP party right here. So Tyler's our resident IDP evaluator, so I'll let you take it, man.
Man. You know what? Here, remember when we broke down Denzel Perryman? Kendall Beckwith.
You're not about to do this.
No, I'm not. Kendall Beckwith is what I wanted Perryman to be. Kendall Beckwith is Perryman that knows where he's going. Kendall Beckwith will knock the crap out of somebody, whether it's a guard, whether it's a back, whomever. I mean, he just is a big, big hitter. Very, very good hip level. Comes through, makes the punch. I love it. Punishes blockers, super high motor. He actually, and I believe I read he came in as like an outside linebacker, a defensive end, and that makes a little bit of sense as you watch how they deploy him, especially on third downs. They'll bring him outside, come up the field. They'll bring him inside on rushes too, and he has a really good feel of where the corner is. So he's fairly versatile for an inside backer. Makes a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage, especially when he reads the play well from the get-go. I mean, if he sees the guard, pulling or doing whatever, like a trap play, he's untrappable because he's just going to get in. He's going to get in the gap and just eat it up right at the line of scrimmage. He's a little slow. I think he's probably going to. He looks like he's about a 4.8 guy to me. I don't think he's got that. That real ability to close fast, especially in space, and that's where he struggles. Is a little bit in space, but it's almost night and day versus Raekwon McMillan, the guy we watched a couple weeks ago, versus Kendall Beckwith, two entirely different players. But Beckwith definitely has a bright future at the next level, and I love seeing this kind of backer, one that just with the high motor just wants to eat people up. So I'm all about this dude.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying about him capping out as a 4.8. I could see 4.7, 4.8 somewhere right in there. But he kind of makes up for it, and there's not a lot of wasted movement. His reaction time is fairly good, and he takes good angles. So, granted, he's going to run a 4.7, 4.8, but he's going to probably get there at the same time a 4.6 guy does. So and that might just be my homer bias speaking a little bit there, but I am a huge fan of watching him play. He's probably one of the better prospects LSU has put out on the defensive side in probably the last decade. He's just so good. Like Tyler said, he's a punishing tackler, and even if he's not hitting him head on, I don't know how many times I saw him a shoestring tackle a guy. Even just in the Mississippi State game they have on breakdown, he probably ended up with 4 or 5 just off the reaching in and getting a leg right there at the end. But he's extremely intelligent player. You can watch as he breaks down the play, and he's immediately where he needs to be, and that's going to get him on the field early enough in the NFL. So that's going to be nice for us in terms of IDP. But I'm interested to see what Andy's got to say.
Well, one of the things, I wasn't as impressed with him as you guys were, but I only saw the one game because that was all that was available. He is a former high school quarterback, though, which I thought was kind of cool, which makes it kind of understandable how he understands and gets into the right position. I thought he was a much better run stopper than he was a pass defender, and I'm kind of concerned about where they're going to use him. He seems like he can only play the middle backer or a inside backer. I wouldn't want him to be a strong side backer to have to cover anybody. I mean, if he's going to have to do any kind of coverage, I'd want him to do some kind of zone coverage because I don't think he does well out in space by himself. He's kind of a little tight hip for me, but I thought he had real good balance. He hits hard, high effort guy, but it's just I saw more of a 2-down thumper. I'd like to see more, but there's just limited. He's going to be very scheme dependent as far as I saw, but I like what I saw.
Yeah, and I think I absolutely agree with the pass defending, but I think a good way he's going to be able to see some work still on third down is
rushing.
They could play him at will, and he could still put up some numbers and stay on the field at least.
I think ultimately he's a 4-3 middle backer. That's ideally where you want to see him is like a Tampa scheme, something like that where they keep the trash off of him and just let him flow. But I mean, he was clearly the leader of that defense, of a good defense. I mean,
Yep.
it's hard to it's hard to put a finger on exactly what the leader is or how they're the leader, but you could just watch the tape and see, okay, 52's got it going on. He knows what's going on. He's the guy, calling the shots. So I was a little bit surprised that he went back to school, honestly. I think some of that may have had to do with the uncertainty around Jalen and Jack and those guys, being that it was a fairly strong linebacker class. But we're going to have a really strong linebacker class next year as well. But I think he's right in there with Davis and McMillan. There are a handful of other guys in there, but I think he's right up there with the top, off-ball linebackers of this class coming in next year. And, if we get in the right kind of scheme, he could really, really eat. I mean, we could be looking at another guy that you're going to love in the late second next year, kind of like we did with, the IDPs this year and a couple of years ago with Shaz and Mosley and those guys. So just a really, really nice player. I'm excited to see what he does next year. Now, I mean, he's going to have it kind of all to himself. Jones is out of the way, so we're going to see what he does.
Yeah, and I mean, while we're on the topic of LSU defensive players, there's a guy, if you're going to watch LSU games, keep an eye on 49 on the defensive line. Arden Key, he was a true freshman last year, and he's once he starts getting them full starter snaps, he's gonna make a name for himself. I can see this guy being a first-round pick here in a couple of years.
Yeah, he kind of jumped out at me a couple times. I remember thinking, who's 49, but obviously we're looking in a different direction. But yeah, 49 turned the corner really, really well a few times. So it's just a factory down there in Baton Rouge. Oh, yeah. They just have unreal, especially edge guys. I mean, they're just nutty. You go back to what Mingo and Alexander, those guys were fantastic on the edge, so they just continuously put them out.
God, what a fucking disappointment Mingo was, though. Getting into the NFL.
It could still happen.
Yeah, it could, but he never found his niche. They just got him, kind of wandering around like, I don't know what to do.
Well, he's like 130 pounds, man. I mean, I know that obviously he's not 130 pounds, but my God, you look at the guy and you think, man, get this guy a sandwich. Put him at the buffet line. Feed this dude.
They probably need to go draft a nice lunch pail player so they can team up and get some lunch for Mingo.
There you go. Scooby can feed him.
Perfect. Maybe Mingo can teach Scooby how to run a little bit too.
There you go.
But with that, let's pop into our submitted questions. And our first one comes from our good buddy, Big Fat Bob. He wants to know our favorite startup strategy. And for me, the easiest answer is just, even with IDP, I'm going to go offense early, and I'm going to go wide receiver earliest, unless I'm playing Superflex 2QB, which I'm not looking to get into any leagues that aren't anymore. In Superflex 2QB, I'm normally spending my first-round pick on a quarterback unless it got picked clean the first half of the round. If I can get either Cam, Luck, Rodgers, Winston, or Wilson in the first round, they're my pick. And depending on who's there in the second, I might go QB and try and pick up wide receiver everywhere else, because it is so hard to find replacement-level quarterback in a I wouldn't say structure, but in a format like that I'd rather lock down my starters early, and they're guaranteed for 10 years. You're not drafting Russell Wilson thinking, man, I've got this position locked down till he's 30, like you're doing with, the wide receivers. So give me quarterback. It's the most efficient move, and it's going to be it's the hardest position to fill outside of a startup. And in terms of IDP, even in our high-scoring ones, I'll just pick up guys that fall. Otherwise, I'll just kind of piece it together, as I see guys. I'm fairly lazy about it.
Andy, fire away, man.
Well, I'm a little bit different because it seems like everybody's going crazy at wide receiver. If I'm at the top of the first round, then I will be looking at wide receiver. But it seems like the back half of the first round, I can find like a Gurley a lot of times, anywhere from like 9 to 12. And why not? I mean, usually in the first 5 rounds or so, I want to get like a Gurley or an Ezekiel Elliott, and then get 3 wide receivers, and then get get a quarterback. But in Superflex, it really depends on if it's a 12-teamer, a 14-teamer, or a 16-teamer. Because the 12-teamer that I was just in, I got Jameis in the second round, and I think I got the next my next quarterback like Matt Stafford in like the 8th round. Because in the 12, you don't really have to worry about it as much. But 14, I've had to get 2 quarterbacks within the first 4 rounds. It just all kind of depends on the field. But yeah, if quarterbacks are going like crazy, get value, and if you're in the back half, and swing back and get something so you don't get screwed. But in IDP wise, yeah, I made a mistake 2 years ago picking Watt in the second round, thinking that he was going to be. I mean, he's still a huge asset, but it doesn't justify where that is. Let the people that aren't strong on IDPs get the first 3 defensive linemen and the first 5 linebackers, whoever they think they are, and then scoop up value. And when it comes to DBs, I don't worry about DBs until I have to. Because, I mean, half the people are going, well, what'd they score last year? Well, okay, Morgan Burnett didn't score anything because he was broke for half the year. And then they go, oh, okay, well, then I got to get the top 2 rookie safeties. Great. Well, there's plenty of value in the other rookie safeties, so let everybody else do the chase and let the value hit you if you know what you're doing in IDP.
Are we going to start the Morgan Burnett circle jerk now? Because I'm all about that.
Let's do it. I'm all over it. I actually told Breeze, I was like, I need a Twitter Avi. I need you to change my Avi to Morgan Burnett. And he came up with this awesome one that showed the top 5 Dynasty DBs and haha Clinton Dix at number 5, and then just Morgan Burnett saying LOL. And Clinton Dix is your Dino DB5 because it's Morgan Burnett's city for me. But I like what Andy said about the IDPs, and the way I tend to do it is I'm just watching the IDPs. I'm not really all over it. I'm never going to start a tier, okay? But I'm looking at I see 4. Let's say I see 4 linebackers left. One of them's Trevathan, one of them's Brandon Marshall, whomever. All right, so I want probably the last one of that little tier, wherever that tier may be. If it's the 8th round, if it's the 12th round, the 15th round, I don't really care that much. I just want to make sure that I'm getting a little piece of each tier. If not, I just keep punting. I don't worry about it. I can fill it in because, like Andy said, there are going to be a number of teams in your leagues that aren't as strong on the IDP side, and we can rely on our knowledge or our hubris to fill in the back portion of it.
I think hubris is the right choice of words.
There you go. My ego's super huge, for better or worse. But yeah, you guys hit it pretty well. I want to pound wide receiver early, but I've kind of shifted a little bit. Well, in the startup we just did, Drew and I, most recently, I took Todd Gurley, 105. Granted we get a little bit of PPC, at 0.25 PPC. So there was there was a little bit of shift in the reasoning behind that. However, I'm not opposed to, like Andy said, grabbing that RB at the back end because you can, especially if you're picking in the back end of the first, you can get a Brandon Cooks, you can get a Keenan Allen, whomever coming back in the second. So to set that get that RB stable, bulked up early, especially with we know what kind of turnovers coming soon at running back, to get that bell cow now is pretty huge because there are just such a small handful of running backs out there. And then he spoke about the Superflex. Drew and I did that 14-team Superflex auction, and we spent a bunch of money on quarterback, man. But we got Jameis, and we got Teddy Bridgewater, and then we picked up Deshaun Watson and the Devy, and you can poo-poo at us all you want, but I am cool with that, having Deshaun Watson coming in. You know, you can make a case for Deshaun Watson being your 101 in a 2 QB. You know, in this class as strong as it is, yeah, easily could. But in a 14 team, I mean, I'm going to treat a super flex like that just as a 2 QB because I ain't trying to be the guy starting, you know, a wide receiver in my super flex. But, you know, I tend to just kind of go with the flow. I want to start out young as I can, really. But if I see my team rounding into a competitor towards the middle rounds, you know, I absolutely want to scoop up, you know, some value. If I can get like a Sean Lee, or even, you know, late, if I got to grab an Antonio Gates type to keep me in the window year one, that's great. But if I'm punting all the way. If I come into it after the first 5-6 rounds with the idea, hey, this team can't compete year one, and it's happened before and it'll happen again, I'm going to keep punting all the way and just give me the longest shots I can with the highest upside. But, you know, I kind of vary. I don't really go in with a real strategy. I just kind of let the draft tell me what to do and roll with it.
You just kind of let it happen to you. But it's funny you bring up Sean Lee. It reminds me of one of the guys I talked to Breeze about as a sleeper on the last IDP episode, and that was Rolando McClain, and that was before we found out he was getting a 10-game suspension. So
tell me,
what a knucklehead.
I take back anything nice I even started to say about him. Like he did things for like 5 minutes and then he stopped doing things again.
I'll tell you right now, in IDP land, go put out some cheap-ass trade offers for Barry Church right now. Barry Church is going to eat again. I mean, he's always been a pretty nice defensive back, but he had that season, what was it, 2013?
I think it was 14.
We just had like 1 million tackles. I mean, that could very well be on the horizon again because Hitchens is – I watch the Cowboys a ton. Hitchens is a bum. You know, Gatkar, yeah, he's not good. Sean Lee, the odds of him playing 16 games, they're slim, okay? We hate to throw around the injury-prone tag around here because that's taboo, but Sean Lee is about as injury-prone as it gets. So just as a complete tangent side note, Barry Church is looking really, really good as a really high-end IDP option in the defensive backfield this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to I argue with Tyler about the injury-prone thing all the time, but Sean Lee has glass bones and rock cartilage. It's not even like a question of if it's going to be, when do you think it's going to happen?
I traded Andy last year. We're Andy and I are in a few leagues together, but we're in one league, and we both have seriously competitive teams, really good teams. In my linebacker core is deep, and it was really, really deep when I made this trade. And I have Mark Ingram, and I'm thinking, man, I need to make a push. And Andy's got Kyrie Robinson. I'm like, I got to get Kyrie Robinson. I can't send him some bullshit offer, so I offer him Sean Lee straight up. I was 90% sure he's going to accept, and sure enough, he does. And now Kyrie's on the waiver wire, and Andy's got Sean Lee in his starting lineup, and he's going to beat me in the playoffs again. Sean Lee is going to have 100 tackles, and damn it.
But you know what? Thank you for making me a straight-up trade offer, because you know what? You get all these articles, all these people talking about, well, you know, try to lowball, try to do this, try to do that. I appreciate a man that goes, this is what I want, this is what I'm willing to give, and doesn't try to BS around. That's the kind of guy I am, and I very much appreciated you absolutely with that. And you could have put it at 100% because you made me an offer. And it made sense for my team because my linebackers weren't so strong, and I really didn't need Kyrie when Kyrie was looking like he was the handcuff. It just made sense. I don't know how many times you get a trade offer, and it's like I got a trade offer in a league when I have like one of the Colts wide receivers, and he's like he wants to take things away from me and give me another Colts wide receiver. Why in God's green earth do I want two Colts wide receivers on my team? I mean, look at somebody else's team before you make an offer.
Yeah, especially because there's only one good wide receiver on the Colts roster.
Oh, here we go.
Throwing stones at T.Y. Hilton, but I threw him over his head. At the time I made
that trade, I was like, you know what, this makes a lot, and it did. It made a lot of sense for both of us. And yeah, I took a little bit of digging on value, but I'm like, if Ingram goes down and if Kyrie is the handcuff, all right, I'm still good. I still got that RB I need, so it made some sense, and I knew I was making him stronger at the time. But he could have potentially made me stronger as well. But I remember that trade very well because I thought and thought and thought, and like I said, I'm really deep at linebacker in that league, and I was like, Sean Lee is probably the best piece for me to move here that's most likely to get a snap accept, and c'est la vie. I didn't win the league.
Well, and he broke down too. It wasn't like he was completely healthy for that year too. So.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, Andy. There's a reason Tyler has to do that. It's because he's in so many leagues with like me and Tim and Brady and Pat, where if you even send a somewhat shitty offer, we're just gonna reject and just ignore it. There's not going to be any negotiating. It's going to be like, no, Tyler, eat shit.
I don't know. I sent good offers. Drew and I made a trade this week.
We did. We made a trade.
We made a trade. Allen Robinson for Todd Gurley, straight up.
Wow.
A blockbuster. Yeah.
I got the
my RB2 was like James White, man. And this was a team that won the league last year. And granted, James White was a huge part of it, but something had to be done. And I was like, I got to get a running back. Let's shoot the moon on this deal.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a no-brainer for me, not only because I'd rather have A-Rob, but my roster is not ready to compete. Because after Gurley, my RB2 was Trey Mason.
Ooh.
I guess I should have gotten Mason, too, for the handcuff. You can't see my air quotes.
We can hear them. Yeah, let's. You know better than that. I'm not trading Trey Mason as a handcuff. I'll keep him on every one of my rosters until he
Let
dies.
him die. Let him die, which he will.
You shut that mouth, old man.
He'll die in a car wreck in Cabo with Johnny.
Whoa! This got dark quick.
Oh, my bad. That was pretty bad. My bad.
I'm just saying. All I'm doing is wait until 2018, where he's going to go in free agency and go be a starter somewhere. I have 2 years. Don't kill my dreams. But I guess I will move on to the second part of his question, which is current weights and goals. He's going to see if he can't help us some more. Right now, I'm floating between 210, 215, and I'm shooting for really sub 200. After that, it's all gravy. But I've been slacking lately. I've been drinking more soda than I was planning on doing, but.
Well, see, Bob's been helping us out. Drew and I are trying to get healthy. Let's see, I had to go to the doctor. It's been, about 6 weeks? And they weighed me at the doctor, and I weighed 238. I'm about 6'1", 6'1", and I usually hover around 225. So when they weighed me at 238, I was like, all right, enough's enough. So I'm down to about 225 now. I'm doing pretty well. Bob's been a huge help. He recommended a book on Amazon. Something about metabolism or some shit. I don't know. But it's helped. It's helped. So Bob's been a big support. I'm doing okay, man. I'm getting really, really tired of the yogurt. I really want a chimichanga and a Coke, but I'm fading the chimichanga and the Coke. I'm going with the yogurt and some water. But we're doing good, and we really, really appreciate it, Bob. Yeah. All right.
I will say, though, I'm getting to be on a first-name basis with the people up at the Smoothie King or outside my neighborhood.
So expensive.
I know, but I mean, I'm either going to spend it on Smoothie King or I'm going to buy 2 monsters a day and
fair enough.
Put the money away.
I definitely have my cheat meals. Don't get me wrong. Oh. I'm not going completely soda-free. It's not happening. Not in my lifetime. All right. Next question from our buddy Pat at RavageFF. What positions are you best/worst at scouting? Andy, why don't you fire this one off?
Defensive backs. Especially cornerbacks. I suck at. I freely admit that. I played linebacker and I played guard and center as a high school athlete and with what I coach. For some reason, though, I'm actually pretty good at wide receivers, better than that, and linebackers are like my 2 go-to, but defensive backs, I mean, hard-hitting safeties that stay in the box, great, but other than that, I'm very hit or miss.
Yeah, for me, it's I'm definitely going to agree with the DBs, but I'm going to kind of exclude them because cornerbacks, free safeties, part of the difficulty on getting good at scouting them is we don't have the proper tape to do it, to get the experience in it. For me, I guess my weakness is going to be at tight end, just because they're so multifunctional that you can't really comp them to one another. Whereas like a wide receiver, you can comp a slot receiver to a slot receiver. You can comp an X to an X. Running back, you can comp a speed back to a speed back, and use that to shape your evals. Whereas tight end, it's more unique per player. In terms of my best, it's funny. So many people have said, it's like, hey, we trust Drew's takes on running back, but I would have said wide receiver as my go-to. But and maybe that's just because I enjoy scouting it more. I enjoy scouting wide receivers more. But yeah.
I don't know. Your running back hit rate's been pretty good over the years. I just kind of blindly listen to you. So, for better or worse.
I wish I could teach my wife how to do that.
My worst? I mean, quarterback's obviously the worst because I don't even pay attention. I just let the NFL tell me. But I feel like I'm okay with tight ends. At least based on my fantasy hit rate, I've done pretty well with tight ends. But I think I'm best at linebackers. I'm probably not, but I think I am. Just because I enjoy watching linebackers more than anything else by far. That's the one position that I really like to hone in on. But and like you said, especially the deep safeties in the corners, you really need the all-22 tape. I mean, you almost have to have coaches tape to really see what they're doing. So I just don't pay it that much attention. But I am horrible at running backs, absolutely awful. Which is good that I'm paired up with Drew here, because I just listen to him for the most part. I mean, I can tell you Jeremy Hill sucks all day, but I don't know why.
Good call. It's funny. I love watching linebackers, but I think I would much rather scout D-line than linebackers.
D-line is tough for me, especially the edge guys, man. They're so tough for me because we have to factor in what are they going to do at the next level? What position are they really going to play? A guy like Bosa, I mean, I'd have sworn up and down Bosa can play 5-tech in the NFL, but I don't really know that he can.
Yeah, and see, I guess that's part of my thing is it's a lot of assumed intelligence. Like Dodd. I assume Dodd is at some point going to become an end, or Thompson's at some point going to be an end, or not Thompson, Lawson. But I don't fucking know. Like for all I know, I got lucky with my Beasley pick last year, where I said he was going to end up as a linebacker, and I say Spence is going to become a linebacker, but I don't fucking know. I'm going to be wrong as shit.
We're making educated guesses. But you know what? We weren't guessing at all on Beasley. We were right, damn it. We knew.
Yeah. Our next question comes from Breeze. He's been on the show a bunch of times with us, done the IDP stuff. He wants us to talk about Matt Jones. He's weird. Seems like a good buy and a good sell high. I don't disagree with that, but I think part of that is because there's such a varied opinion on him that depending on what league you're in, you're going to get either guys that are willing to buy him for way more than they should, or guys that are just, they'll sell him for whatever, just get him off my roster. And it's not so much based on what Jones has done, but people's perception of him. I've definitely got him outside of my top 12 running backs. He's probably somewhere in that like 15 to 20 range, but I can't, unless he just takes this next step and becomes a transcendent talent, I can't see him keeping his job into 2017. That's the problem I'm having with a lot of these guys right now. Like Latavius Murray is the same way. Trying to think of another good example. Even the whole thing in Seattle could quickly get knocked out if they bring in Chubb. But that's about where I'm at on that.
Yeah, I don't know. Jones is just. It's a lot of it's going to depend on the state of your team. If he's on your team and he's your RB3 and you're competing, groovy. You don't want to go sell him low. As far as buying him, he's probably going to be tough to buy, I would think. I mean, I own him in a couple spots, and I'm not trying to sell low. I at least want to see a few weeks and see what's going on. But for the most part, he's a guy I'm planning on plugging into my roster into the starting lineup week 1. So I'm just going to ride it out and see what happens. His value is too weird for me to really think about buying or selling, for that matter.
Yeah, I guess with me, I just don't see him more than like 20% better than Chris Thompson and maybe 30% better than Keith Marshall. I mean, is that great? I mean, it just seems like he could lose his job at the snap of a finger that I don't really want to invest with him. I mean, I made a mistake of investing in Rawls in a league, in a startup league, and I'm like, how much better is he than CJ Procise right now? I mean, he's a little bit better if his foot's back to normal. But then I got Alex Collins too. It's like you're going to want, if you have him, you're going to want to have either Thompson or Keith Marshall. And who knows, there's even saying Keith Marshall might not make the team. So it's just so murky. If you have him, hold him. But I'm not going to try to acquire him anywhere. Just like I'm not going to try to acquire any of the Seattle guys because of the 2017 class. It's too strong. I mean, we can say right now, obviously the Rams job, the Steelers job, the Bengals job are off limits. What other jobs are running back jobs are really off limits in the NFL right now, other than those?
I'd probably say Arizona and Dallas. And I don't know
Okay.
that I would say Cincinnati's off limits. Oh,
Oh,
Houston.
no, Gio got inked. Houston, I think Lamar's pretty safe, but
Houston's definitely safe.
it's just, yeah.
Gio got inked, but Gio's not also going to be. He can't be a 3-down back.
But they have Hill for another 2 years
Yeah.
that they probably let it go.
They should probably just let him go this year.
They're not, Andy, I'm with Andy there. I don't see Cincinnati investing. Not
No.
heavily, anyway. But, yeah, I love that he brings up Chris Thompson. He's kind of our poster child around here. I mean, just pass on Matt Jones altogether and go get Chris Thompson for free.
I'll tell you that
He's damn near free.
we've got some Keith Marshall truthers that listen to this show, and they are not going to like what Andy had to say.
Well, I mean,
Almost gonna
you
get
saw the
cut.
blurb.
How
You saw the
dare
blurb
you.
this week that he's projected off the 53 man. He's a 7th round pick, for Christ's sake.
Oh, I know. I'm not making the case for him. I'm just saying.
I don't know. Jones is just super bizarre for me. I don't know.
He's one of those guys that I was not interested in coming in out of Florida, and then he started to appeal to me a little bit in the NFL, and now my two evals are fighting with each other, and I don't know which side to take.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we got a question off the subreddit. Let's see what we got here. Does anybody other than me sell first-round picks like they're candy in Devy leagues? Now, Drew and I are fairly inexperienced in Devy leagues. Andy, you play in some Devy leagues. What do you do with your first-round picks in Devy when they're watered down like that? Do you tend to spend them a little bit more freely?
I'll be honest. I just joined my first Devy league 2 weeks ago, so I'm the same as everybody else. But to me, I'm always willing to deal my picks if it's something that's worth it to me, and if it's something that's worth it, I mean, Devy picks are only worth something if there are the people there that you want, or that aren't on teams yet. So if there are people that aren't on teams yet that you want, hold on to them. But if they're pretty much picked off, why not?
There's something about that first-round pick. It glows when you see it in a trade offer. You know what I mean? So, the nuts and bolts of it may be that they're really not that good of players left in the player pool there, but you can get a nice pick or a nice player, a nice whatever return because you're seeing first-round pick. So, yeah, we have Drew's a little more than myself, have just kind of ventured into the Devy landscape, which seems to be coming more and more in vogue right now. A lot of folks getting into it, and I could only imagine where we're going to be in a couple years from now.
Yeah, I think it's going to highly depend on if you're in a Devy league that separates the rookie draft from the Devy draft. You know, there are obviously some leagues that if you're at 101, you can pick whoever the top rookie is that's coming into the league, or you can take a Devy player. But like the Super Devy league I joined, it's two separate drafts. So a first round pick in your Devy draft is going to be, it's going to have that first round value, and there's still going to be legitimate targets if you do your research. It's a more of a gamble as the league progresses because you're going to be taking guys that are, true freshmen, true sophomores, and it's a higher variance, but with a potential to pay off a lot more. But that first round rookie pick, outside of probably the top 2 or 3, ship that motherfucker off. Get what you can, because I don't want to sit here and draft Keith Marshall with my first round rookie pick, because that's who's left.
Right.
And I use Keith Marshall as an example, but he was a 5-star recruit. He would have probably been a Devy pick for somebody by now.
And there always seem to be a few that fall through the cracks, like Kevin White. I would imagine Sterling Shepard, that kind of, type might have fallen through the cracks, but like it tends to flatten out rather quickly. All the name guys are gone.
That's why I mentioned, that top 3 area where, you get a couple of guys that hang around. Michael Thomas would have been a guy that slipped through the cracks, but after that it drops off quickly. Like that whole second round is normally gone. But the next question is also from Reddit. Luigi Berticelli, I think. What
Sounds
kind
good.
of players do you leave in your taxi squad? Is there any strategy to it? Technically, you can use a strategy to, if you're punting, put your best rookies or whoever's eligible onto there and make your possible points look shitty, so you get a higher draft pick. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. But it's also the reason why I've moved away from the idea of liking taxi squads. If you want a taxi squad, just expand your roster by 3 spots. Because what you're doing is you're pigeonholing the teams that don't care about rookies into having to pick up some rookies. And you're giving the guys who are already going to have a bunch, you're just saying, hey, all these guys that are going to stay on my roster anyways, just go sit over there. It makes no difference. God damn it. It makes no difference to them. So there's really no purpose for the taxi squad that I can think of anymore, short of you're doing Devy and you need somewhere to keep them.
Yeah, I've kind of gotten to that point with the taxis. It's kind of fun to have a taxi squad, I guess, especially if you're coming from redraft. You're like, ooh, taxi squad, that's cool. But it's primarily a means to manipulate your possible points and, gain equity into the future draft classes. Especially if you're not competing, why wouldn't you leave Laquan Treadwell on your taxi squad? So I hate to say it's tanking. I mean, if it's within the rules, but it kind of is.
You're colluding with yourself. It's still against the rules.
There you go. So, but yeah,
Well,
outside of a Devy format, I don't know.
You see, I'm kind of mixed on this, and I think part of this question was also with there are certain leagues that you can actually raid somebody else's taxi squad if you give up, like say you pick somebody in the 6th round. If you were willing to give up your 5th and 6th round for next year, you can acquire that player. I've been in leagues like that you could steal somebody, but like a Michael Cole from Skittles. Yeah, I love Skittles. Thank you for that. I wasn't even looking that way. Was looking in the camera. But Michael Cole, who had no, I mean, who knows what Rudolph is going to do, if he's going to stay with the Vikings or not. But here's a guy that wasn't going to get a chance to play, or a quarterback that's not going to get a chance to play. Why have him gut up your roster if you don't have to? But then you get the, hey, let's sneak this. And I've known some people that have snuck people on taxi squads just to leave them there. But, you get a guy like Darren Lee this year who they're saying right now might just be playing the third down role at least in September and maybe into October, and you just stick him there and leave him there for a little bit. I have no issues with that. But I mean, obviously, taking somebody that you can make your team better. I'm always trying to compete, and I mean, Tyler, you and I have talked about the UTH way, and my kind of difference with that. I always like to go smack dab in the middle, have a fairly young team, but have some older guys too, because I don't want to go too young and I don't want to go too old. I want to get that nice little middle. But that's my craziness.
The middle gets you the 106. I'm just kidding. And I wasn't trying to show you the Skittles to interrupt you. I was trying to mock Tyler.
Just trying to shove the candy in my face. Yeah. Oh, on a side note, if Darren Lee doesn't beat out Aaron Henderson by like week 6, I will eat my hat. This is my first on-air Dynasty Playbook eat my hat declaration of 2016. Aaron Henderson is a hack. He always has been. Darren Lee's going to have that job.
Darren Lee will not finish the season in the top 5 rookie linebackers for snap count.
Who knows?
That sounds like a hat bet.
Hell, Blake Martinez is probably going to be in the top 5. Get out of here with this crap.
Antonio Morrison will probably beat him out. Nick Vigil will probably beat him out.
Morrison. Just shut up with the
Vigil?
Nick Vigil crap. Can you please stop with the Nick Vigil crap?
No!
I'm so tired of hearing his name. He is just, it's not going to happen. First off, he's not very good. Second off, Mark does not play rookies.
All right. Let's calm down.
Sorry, you got me all worked up. I am sick and freaking tired of you talking about Nick Vigil. I'm done. I'm muting.
Third round pick. Suck my ass.
Whatever. But yeah, for the most part, I'm with you. I prefer just expand the roster on the taxi spots. If you got 40 roster spots, 5 taxi, just make it 45, unless you have debuts, and then just make it unlimited. So, and I think I just froze. I doubt y'all can hear me right now.
No, we can.
I can hear you.
Now, obviously.
Well, I got worked up there. You really angered me again.
Yeah, it's because you're all up in your feelings. Calm down. You're just mad because Nick Vigil's going to outscore Darren Lee every year for the rest of his life.
Get out of here. And if Antonio Morrison beats out C.O. Moore, I will vomit. And I like Antonio Morrison. I liked him better than I should. But come on.
I agree. That would make me sad. That would ruin my life.
See to be anything so bad. I really, really, really want CO.
I got one for you. Who's more likely to outsnap? Morrison over CO or Goodson over Robinson?
I could see Goodson winning that job.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Andy, what do you think about those two situations? Those are pretty interesting.
Those are interesting. I would say Goodson too, just because the Giants. I don't trust any of their linebackers. I think they could. He's got more talent, I think, than at least 2 of their starters. He needs to find a way in there.
I agree. Goodson's been one of my favorite, waiver gets already or late round gets. So we'll see what happens. See if Kennard can put it together, because I kind of don't think he can.
I've wanted him to.
Oh, same here. I've got him. I've got him in a lot of spots. I've had to drop him in a few spots, and then Keenan, obviously. I love Keenan Robinson, but he was so bad last year. Oh, he was bad. We'll see.
All right, and our next question comes from another Reddit user, DynaCG. Expectations for Moncrief and Lacey. And, wow, those players could not be more different in my head. Moncrief, if Luck stays healthy the entire season, Moncrief has the potential to put up wide receiver 1 numbers. High-end wide receiver 1 numbers. But, at the same time, even his floor, I think, is still somewhere in the wide receiver 2 range. Whereas Lacey, if this whole weight loss thing is to be believed, I still probably put him at like maybe high end RB2 numbers, maybe low end 1, but there's a very real possibility he's getting outsnapped by James Starks by the end of the season because he's just so sad and fat. And
I don't know. I think Lacey's kind of creeped into buy territory for me. And there's a real good chance, especially in Dynasty, that he could exceed his cost right now. Things could definitely break right because the talent's there. We saw it his first 2 years. The dude was an animal. I mean, he played ball. So I think Lacey, it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to be on the trash heap or he's going to be, right up at the top like he was as far as production anyway. And then Moncrief, well, we just like Moncrief.
If
things go right. I tend to agree with you that the wide receiver 1 potential's there. Top 15, 18 dyno wide receiver, that's where I'd take him right now. So I'm pretty cool with that projection.
Well, and I guess to throw mine in there, I like Moncrief. I actually drafted him as my number 1 in that draft 2 weeks ago. Lacey, he's a number 2 for me. And I'm hoping that he's a number 2. I got a bad feeling he's a number 3, but thankfully Starks is still dirt cheap. Nobody believes in him. And I'd rather just grab Lacey 5th, 6th round and then make sure I get Starks sometime in the 15th or 20th round or whatever. Just make sure I get him.
And I mean, part of the shine is wearing off Starks is he's going to be, what, 32 this year?
Yeah, he's getting up there, man. He's getting up there.
The wheels could fall off of both of them at the same time, and they have no run game. They'll go back to how they looked, what was it, about right before they drafted Lacey, and they were putting out... Who was it between Ryan Grant and Eddie Lacy?
Oh, it was the kid that got a concussion, wasn't it?
UCLA
Franklin.
Guy, right?
Yeah, Jonathan Franklin.
No, because he went in the same year as Lacy. They both got drafted together.
I thought Franklin was the year before.
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
No, he was the same year. So who the hell knows who was in between?
I can't even think of it.
I don't know, and I know it's totally incorrect, but for some reason Amon Green just flashed through my head.
That was way before.
That was way before, but for some reason, that dude was good.
Yeah. Well, you got Johnny Crockett, who could just do everything, when Lacey and Stark's legs fall off.
Wasn't he the metric marvel? Wasn't Crockett the metric guy?
Yeah.
The metrics people love John Crockett, even though he can't play football.
Right. North Dakota State All-Star. Yeah.
There you go. He can hang out with Zach Center.
Hey, now. Hey. Bad about Zach Center here. I'll come to Fort Worth again. I'll throw down. See which one of us gets winded first.
There you go.
I'll say though, if the wheels even start falling off on Lacey, I put Green Bay as the number 1 contender to take a 17 running back.
Oh yeah.
They definitely got to be in there, but then hell, Green Bay rarely addresses need in the draft. They just kind of just.
Yeah, but
how many years in a row are we waiting on them to take an inside linebacker in the first round? And they're just like, nah, we're good.
But also, I mean,
we're going to roll with Jake Ryan and God knows what. Yeah, fair enough.
Their GM's crazy.
God, Tyler's breaking up bad.
Yes, he is.
Fuck. All right, let's.
All right, next question from Audrey here. Am I here?
Yeah, you're good.
Edit me. All right, next question at Coach Kearns on Twitter. I'm in an IDP league with 53 market size. I really like that. What are some good, deep, young IDP options? We just talked about B.J. Goodson. He's a great option, especially given the murkiness and the lack of talent in the New York Giants linebacker core. Devondre Campbell in Atlanta has been getting a ton of buzz lately, and in fact, looks like he may open the season as a starter. I still want to talk about Ben Healy last year. Finally just
Who?
You lost me.
You gotta say that name again.
Ben Heaney.
Linebacker,
did we just
Oakland.
totally lose me?
No, you're good.
Yeah, Ben Heaney, the linebacker in Oakland. Boy, you're really going to have some editing to do, aren't you?
Perhaps
Somebody take
perhaps
over.
No.
I'm cutting out really bad.
I would say Obagwa Odigizua, the defensive end for the Giants. I just got him for $1 today. Picked him up on waivers because nobody had him in his 53-man rosters. I mean, there's a guy that's just laying out there next to nothing. I mean, it depends on the league. I mean, Tahir Whitehead, he's going to get the opportunity. Gerald Hodges, the linebacker from San Francisco, is another one that's pretty cheap. And I know hype's starting to get up on Zachary Orr, but why not? Why not pick the guy up from Baltimore?
Yeah, some of the guys that I've kind of been trying to sneak around and pick up. Jihad Ward is one of my favorite grabs right now. Eric Armstead's kind of getting undervalued with his old teammate hanging up there, which I think they're going to make an excellent combo. I think they're both going to be able to put up numbers. Who else? Who else do I like? Sheldon Rankins for DT required, but DT required, he's probably going high anyways.
Yeah, he is.
Which, I mean, I assumed it was only Tony doing it in our leagues, but he also just does silly shit all the time. Oh, Deshaun Watson isn't going to be
Tapper in Dallas is a decent one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My connection is just trash right now.
No, you're good. You actually came through fine on that one.
I was just going to say Cedric Marks if you need another defensive tackle.
I mean, you can always get Nick Vigil. We know how much we like him.
Oh, God.
I like Jerron.
Why don't you just get the better linebacker in Paul Dawson?
I already
if
said
you're going to get Vigil, just get the better
Paul
version
Dawson.
of Vigil in Paul Dawson.
You know what's nice about Paul Dawson?
You are incorrect.
I mean, you know what's nice about Nick Vigil? He gets to play on third down.
Ooh.
Paul Dawson can cover. Dawson can cover. He just can't run.
Paul Dawson couldn't cover me.
They're both going to lose snaps. Fucking Malaluga for the 30th year in a row. So who cares?
Oh yeah, that hurts my feelings. Jerron Reed's another one.
Marvin Lewis.
I really like Jerron Reed for DT required. That's probably a good amount of sneaky guys. He's only got so much space. How about some sneaky safeties?
Fair enough.
James Sample. I can't think of anybody else.
Gathers, man. Everybody's on Gathers now. That shit is
Yeah.
sold. Everybody's on Clayton Gathers now.
Calvin
So
Pryor?
if you were going to get him cheap, you probably are too late. Yes.
I like that.
I love Calvin Pryor.
People have been bringing up Von Bell to me, asking what I thought, and it's like, no, just don't. Like, I know they spent
He's a good player. I
He's a
just
good
don't
player.
think he's going to do much.
For IDP, though. He's like A'Shawn Robinson. A'Shawn Robinson's going to do gangbusters in the NFL, but there's not a chance he's going on any roster I have. But with that, let's hit up. I think our final question comes from @JoeyJits. How does the Tampa secondary play out IDP-wise? Poorly. It is not good. I mean, Bradley McDougald. Yeah. They got Chris Conte. I mean, we know how good he is. And then they got cornerbacks. And really, who gives a shit about cornerbacks? They got Grimes. They got Hargraves. I mean, they got Jonathan Banks, he's like the best thing ever. They still got Werner floating around. But I wouldn't even care about any of I might get Brent Grimes and cornerback required. Other than that, I'm skipping. They're all gonna get rotating snaps between Werner and Hargraves and even Banks. That it's not worth holding on to any of them as a starter, especially considering really no team. no team besides the Saints last year can produce two fantasy relevant cornerbacks, and that's because none of our front fuckers could tackle, so it all got to the corners. But yeah, it's gross. Pass.
Yeah, hard fade. I don't want any part of really any of them. Maybe Hargraves and corner required, but not really.
For unlawful carnal knowledge, that's it. If you know the anagram, you know what I'm saying.
It's bad. It's bad. So yeah, we're out of questions. What do we got here? Andy, you want to give us your Oreo rant? I know you had some hot takes on the Oreos. Let's do this.
Oh, this might ruin a friendship right here.
Why?
No.
No, why in God's green earth are white fudge Oreos only available from Thanksgiving till Christmas? I mean, seriously, I have to go to our local Target and buy them like 5 boxes at a time because everywhere else sells out quickly, and I gotta buy them and I gotta hoard them and try to not eat them like a box daily until they're all gone in my area. Make them available 12 months out of the year. I mean, they're selling them on eBay. If they're that good, and I think they're that good, then sell them all the flipping time.
Oh, I love it. You know this? You know why they sell it only between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Same reason they do eggnog. Because retailers hate us and they don't want us to be happy. If you have any idea, like I don't care about getting fat on like Christmas ham and all that shit. I gain 10 to 15 pounds during Christmas time because I drink eggnog like it's water and I'm in the desert. It's amazing. I used to not be able to drink it when I smoked.
White fudge Oreos are. God.
No, you're good. Yeah, you just cut me off because you're rude and old and.
No, because my connection's all screwy. I'm sorry. I should have restarted a while ago, but I didn't.
You probably should have.
The white fudge Oreos are fantastic.
Yes.
They're a box too. What's up with that? Well, I mean, there should be like 30 of them in a package of white fudge Oreos. My wife is a freak for those things. She does the same thing Andy does. I mean, I'll look in the pantry and there'll be like 10 boxes of white fudge Oreos, and I know damn well I better not eat half of them or it's a problem for me.
Oh yeah.
So they are amazing.
Oh yeah. If my wife's stashing sweets, I'm not supposed to touch them, or we will fight and I will lose. Oh, but so people
never ever eat the last one.
No, that's how it is with Thin Mints here. If she's bringing home Thin Mints, because that's the only time she ever stocks up on sweets. If she brings home Thin Mints and I eat, if there's less than 2 boxes left and I just go take them, she's not talking to me that night, like at all. But people keep sending us on Twitter because we're the Oreo podcast. We don't talk about football or anything. They keep sending us these triple stuffed Oreos, and for the life of me, I can't find them anywhere, and it's getting infuriating. I want triple Oreos. I want my fat consumption to be more efficient. Where are they?
Triple stuff. I had no idea they even existed.
Yeah, they're just called Mega Stuff.
It's amazing. Mega stuff, just America. It should be America stuff.
I mean, this is really our America episode, anyways. It's July 4th.
It is. It's 4th of July weekend.
It's our America.
I have an actual.
What's that? You have a what? Nope. I guess not.
I have Monday off.
Hooray! Day off for Tyler.
Yay me!
Yeah, but I get to sign off of here and go play security with the dogs because last time, about 4th of July 2 years ago, right after I met Tyler, one of my dogs ran away on 4th of July because he got freaked out by fireworks.
Yeah, both my dogs go. We have a thunder coat for the beagle. He needs it.
I've thought about getting one for my beagle just because any sort of loud noises. Plastic bags are his worst enemy. But I mean, he's like, I'm gonna go a little off topic, but like I used to like take apart my gun, clean it on the kitchen table and stuff. He's never seen me shoot a gun. He's never seen me do anything remotely violent with a gun. He just sees it and he's terrified of it. Makes no sense.
Actually, my best friend bought a hunting dog as a baby, and he took it out to go hunting just the one time. As soon as it heard the shotgun, ran. He took the dog back. They supposedly retrained her. Never, never ever spent like $500 on this dog, and could never use it. Scared to death of dog. Scared to death of guns.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even the gun shot. It was just, here, look at this piece of black thing that you have no idea what it is. Like, oh, that's scary looking. I don't know about that.
That's like you can make noise.
Or maybe it smelled the gun powder and somehow knew. Who knows?
Fair enough. That's a good point.
You know, they're just smarter than we are.
Well, I mean, nobody's debating that.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
Unless it gets wrapped around a tree. Because our beagle, we put him out in a line. He gets wrapped around the tree. But you give him food in a complicated place, he can open up counters. I mean, you know, whatever he needs to do to get to the food. But to maneuver around a tree, wow, that's too much for him.
I got the exact same problem. Mine's a really smart moron. Like, he opens doors, he knows all sorts of verbal commands. He spells. Like, if we spell car ride, he knows what it means. But
what was it? What was that movie? You're the dumbest smart guy I've ever met.
Jeez.
That's
like
dogs
the
in a
smart
nutshell.
guy I've ever met, based on how much he's slowed down. Just, I don't know how to talk right now. I'm burnt out. That's bad. All right, we should probably call it a night. Tyler disappeared. He's gone.
Well, thank you very much for you guys having me on. I really appreciate it. This was a whole lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, man. I had a blast, and I mean, I never talked over people so much as I did today, but maybe next time it'll work a little bit better. Oh, now Tyler's in the call twice.
Oh.
All right, Tyler, we're calling it a night. You guys have any last parting shots for us?
Nope. Thanks for having me on. Continue to be a big listener to you guys, and look forward to more. And if you need special guests anytime, let me know.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have to do an IDP special one with you soon. But that's going to be all for us. This has been the Dynasty Playbook. I've been your host, Drew. You can find me on Twitter at DrewDotsonNFL. With me has been my excellent co-host, as always, Tyler. You can find him on Twitter at HBOMIDP. And with us has been our special guest this week, Andy. You can find him on Twitter at Andrew Miley. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.